I'm here with Dean Martin, Treasurer, State of Arizona, and you're also running for Governor of Arizona.
Correct.
Thanks for coming to the Indo-American Chamber of Commerce Forum.
Glad to be here.
And you just spoke for us, and why don't you just kind of give us a little brief overview of what you spoke about and what you're up to?
Well, we basically talked about where our economy is going and the fact that we're coming to the end of our recession. Fortunately, it looks like things are about to hit bottom, and talked about what I'm planning on doing in the governor's race. The reason why we got into this mess was basically the state, when the recession started, we warned everybody. I got called Chicken Little rather than listening to our warnings, and they continued to grow spending and basically blew about $3.5 billion worth of cash reserves the state has. And now how we need to get out of this thing, we've got to get spending back in line, and some really innovative things we can do with financing and just working smart with the state finances to balance this budget and start growing the economy.
Okay, and then how long have you been as a treasurer of Arizona?
This is my fourth year. So
fourth year, okay.
Finishing my fourth year here, and we turned around an office that was in disarray. My predecessor he pled guilty of resign. It was pretty bad. And so we got the office turned around. We've been profitable. We've made $1 billion in profits during this economic cycle. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Okay, and then moving forward, you did a great job of laying out some examples of what you wanted to do when you went into the office of governor. So can you give us kind of a rundown on some of the strategies you're going to approach if you become governor?
Well, basically, the first thing is don't spend more than you make.
Yeah.
I know that sounds trite, but the state hasn't done that for a very long time. And that's why the state's broke. We've got to get spending back in line with revenues, but we can, what do you do for an individual that's up to their eyeballs in credit card debt? You cut up their credit cards and get a debt consolidation loan and start getting them out of it. We can do the same thing for the state of Arizona. I can save $1.4 billion. We need to look at our welfare system. We're spending more on welfare, growing faster than anything else. And we actually spend more money than anything else. Actually, it's eclipsed education now as the largest line item. And we still need to provide assistance for people. We've got to change our definition of success. The problem is our government defines success by the number of people they're helping. It's a mistake. We need to be defining success by the number of people who no longer need help. It's a completely different approach to the way we provide assistance, help them out of needing help as opposed to keeping them sustained while they're there. It's a different approach, but it needs to be. We can't afford the way things have been going. Let's turn these folks from being non-productive to productive. Education system. I want to completely change that. I come from an education family. My mom was a math teacher, so I grew up thinking calculators were cheating. So that gives you a little bit about my background. But we've got this huge bureaucracy that's developed. I mean, we have more laws in the books for K-12 than we do for nuclear power plants. We need to get rid of all of that. Block grant the money directly to the teacher. Bring the teacher in the classroom to the top of the food chain instead of at the bottom. And in that process, we also need to get rid of all this garbage that's in the laws that keeps teachers from teaching. And I want to rewrite our education statutes. All that should be in there at the state level is this is when you need to be able to read and write and do math and the Constitution, what you need to know as opposed to how to do it. That's the local teacher in the school. What works in Peoria doesn't necessarily work in Yuma or Tucson. And so giving that flexibility to the local school districts is what we need to return to, innovation and creativity back into our school system as opposed to this kind of one-size-fits-all from government that's expensive and not as productive.
Now, in the primaries, you're running up against Jan Brewer, and can you differentiate yourself from Jan as far as what you're going to bring to the table?
Well, first of all, she did the largest property tax increase in state history. She did the largest sales tax increase, and so there's never a good time to raise taxes, but this is probably the worst time. I can provide a balanced budget without hitting education, without raising taxes. I've got the financial experience that's necessary to get us through the next few phases of this cycle. This recession may be coming to an end. We may be technically hitting the bottom, but we will not be recovered for years. The state really needs to change its focus and start attracting business. We've got 67,000 homes that were built during this recession, or during the housing bubble, that we never had population growth before. 42 million square feet of vacant office space and industrial space has been created during this recession. We've got to fill those empty offices and buildings, and we can't do that while you're selling off the Capitol building and renting it back. I mean, who wants to make a long-term investment in a state that's renting their own capital? So, I provide that financial expertise, the budget expertise, and the business expertise, because I'm a small business owner as well, to kind of put all those pieces together and start selling Arizona as an attractive state again. It really is.
Yeah.
Not that much change from when we were attracting all these businesses from California. It's just this administration has done a great job of destroying our image nationally. And I mean, again, who wants to make an investment in a state that can't balance their own books? We got to get our house in order, and then instead of selling pieces of the state, we can sell the great qualities. We didn't have to scrape the sunshine off our windshield this morning. We don't have to shovel it out of the driveway.
Yeah.
This is a great place to live and work.
Absolutely.
We need to get that message out there as opposed to the messages that have been told.
And finally, you are involved with a charity that you talk about in the presentation. Can you talk a little bit about the charity?
Yeah, set all the politics aside. My wife, unfortunately, I lost her about a year ago, and my son during childbirth. And my wife was a big supporter of charitable organizations, water safety and financial literacy. And so we formed Martin Charities to continue her work, martincharities.org.
Okay.
And in May, we're doing the first annual memorial walk for Carrie. And it's going to be up at Westgate on May 22nd. Go to martincharities.org. You can register online.
Okay.
And we're going to raise some money for water safety. We're beginning the summer season, and too many kids are killed or severely injured. My wife used to say water safety is so important because child drownings are the #1 most 100% preventable death of children. And that there shouldn't be a single child drowning. So it's not just about regulation. Education is much more important. That's my philosophy. That's her philosophy. Teaching kids how to swim, giving them a safe environment to swim in, is a much better place than trying to, a much safer way to go forward. And so this is a way to kind of continue that. She's not around anymore to help these programs, so we're kind of picking up the ball and making sure, even though she's gone, her work will continue.
Great. Well, thank you so much for presenting at the Endo Chamber.
You're welcome.
And thank you, Dean Martin.
Glad to do it. Thank you.